Hello everyone, and welcome to Waypoint Media Club. Today is a very special episode where we're going to do a full spoiler cast of Black Widow. And if you haven't seen a Waypoint podcast Spoilercast before, if you have not seen Black Widow, get out now because we will be going full spoilers right from the beginning. Today we've got Austin, Brett, Jordan, and the Aaron joining us, and I'll be your host, Alec Bobko. So to start off, what's everybody's thoughts? So let's start with Austin.
Yeah, I think the trailer spoiled the best moment for me. So that's the only genuine gripe that I have. There were a few moments that took me out of the experience, like her falling from the sky and landing on her feet, and the finale thing where she bangs her head on the thing to sever the nerve. I didn't like that. But those are literally the only two moments that took me out of the experience. Everything else I think was solid across the board. Like some reviews I saw, solid 7, and I think that's perfect. I think it's just a fair, good movie all the way through. I don't think there's anything egregiously bad in the entire film.
Brett?
Yeah, I had a good time with it. I'm not sure where it's at now, but Metacritic had it at like an 81%, and I was like, that feels about right. It's like a B. Part of the big appeal for this movie is not even like the content itself. It's the fact that we finally got a Black Widow movie at all.
Yep.
So it just felt good to see it regardless of what the quality of the movie actually was. But I liked the action scenes, like the Cold War stuff was really interesting. Red Guardian was great. I liked him. And obviously Yelena was incredible. She was definitely the star of the movie. So liked it a lot.
And Jordan, what are your general thoughts?
I mean, I'm with Austin and Brett on this, where it's like, I think it's a perfectly fine movie, like 80s B movie. But because it's just so fine, I feel like personally I'm more upset about my very few cons than I'm more happy about the pros of this movie, if that makes sense.
I get that.
It's a fine movie, but yep. And it's great. I like it. And it's like I have two little gripes, and I feel like I have more to say about those than I do about how good the movie is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of in that same boat where, like you said, it's fine, but so yeah. All right. Leanne, what are your general thoughts on the movie?
I loved every second of this movie. And I said this before we started, but I have a bias because I love the entire cast that makes up the family, Scarlett Johansson, Florence Pugh, Rachel Weisz, and David Harbour are some of my favorite people. I mean, Scarlett Johansson at the bottom of that list, but whatever. Anyways, and I love Florence Pugh so much. I love her in everything she does. Midsummer is a 10 out of 10 for me. Little Women is a 10 out of 10. I love her in everything. And I don't know, I was just really into the whole vibe of it. There was some stunt stuff that I was like, all right, we're getting a little wild here, but I loved it. And what I was mainly mad about has nothing to do with the writing, the directing, the acting, any of that. It absolutely has to do with we didn't get this movie until the character's fate was already predetermined. And we don't get to build off this.
That beat did seem a little off, right? We get to the end of the movie, we see this dope action sequence go on, and then the ending is her tombstone. Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, she's dead. It's like, oh. Okay.
Yeah, no, I want to comment on that real quick. Because the amount of people in my theater that didn't see Endgame and were like, wait, she's dead? I was like, I don't mean to gatekeep, but what the fuck are you doing here? We literally heard someone go, what the fuck? And I was like, where have you been? You came to see this, but you didn't see the biggest fucking movie
of all time. It's literally
of all time, yeah.
I mean, they could have, or they could still do another Black Widow movie within the time gap between this movie and Endgame. She's running the Avengers during that 5-year gap between Infinity War and Endgame, so we could get more. I don't think we will, just because I think Scarlett Johansson's done with MCU. But there is. I mean, they fit this movie in this timeline, so they definitely could fill it out if they wanted to.
Yeah. Just some quick thoughts of mine before we get deeper into spoilers. again, like really like most people here, I really enjoyed it. I went into this thinking it was going to be a solid like 7, just kind of middle of the pack MCU movie, and I was very entertained this entire movie. And got a little beef with Austin because that part where she severed the nerve, oh, it was hype as hell. I love that part.
That was cool.
It's so fucking cool.
I just think it fell flat for me. Like I don't think it was very cool. I think the line where she says like you're weak and like her initial plan was for him to sever it, like that was cooler to me than the actual. Like,
Agreed. Yeah.
I kind of saw that coming where she kept just letting him punch her. I was like, oh, she's trying to break her nose.
That's a Black Widow thing. Like she gets her ass beat on purpose to get information. Like that's what she does. That's probably her bread and butter. But I don't know. I just felt like there were better ways to go about that. It just fell flat for me.
But here's the thing. Getting punched in the nose in this just general region of your face hurts so goddamn bad.
Yep.
And having the mental resolve to do it to yourself is so cool to me.
And so
like,
forcefully that you just break your nose. Like
You just shattered your nose.
I am by no means arguing that Black Widow is not a badass son of a bitch, okay? Black Widow is one hell of a badass. Don't get me wrong. That is not what I'm arguing. I just think that moment, even if that's what they're going for, I just don't think they played it out well enough. It seemed just like a one beat thing, and like I don't know. It didn't work for me. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah. And like one thing I really liked about this movie, just kind of working off something that worked and not quite worked, was the family dynamic. Like I really liked that and how they all talk to each other, but for whatever reason, when I first saw this Thursday, that scene where they all got together that we saw so much of in the trailers, it just felt like it really slowed that movie down.
How about we're just opposite? I love all of the family dynamics. I thought that was the best part of the movie.
I'm not saying I hate it. I just felt like it slowed the pace of the movie down a little bit, and I'm not saying like a ton, just enough that.
Okay, so I am a terrible human being, and even though Brett in the Discord chat was like, thoughts on Black Widow, use the spoiler tag, and I was not in the movie yet and was actively saying that I was trying to get in and had missed the first 5 minutes. I read all of them before the movie started and saw Albab say the family dynamic kind of slowed things down for me and was like concerned. And then we got there. I was like, he is insane. I love every second of this. Her going, I love family dynamic shit like that. It's so like, and I like, listen, I'm not Steve Rogers' biggest fan, but for some reason, making Red Guardian be this like washed up, like chasing his glory days with Steve Rogers thing for me, I was like, yeah, I love this. You look like all of the men on my mother's side of the family, that are of the family that are like from middle of nowhere, New York, and have big beards and all that shit, and you act like them, and I love it. You're annoying, but I love it.
Does he also think that Cap wasn't in the ice? Like, did the Russians fool him into thinking he was really fighting Captain America or something? Like, they don't touch on it, but I'm so confused.
I want a Red Guardian series.
Yeah, it could be him straight up lying. It could be like the Soviets put up a patsy for.
That's the thing. I feel like he was so convinced in what he was saying. I was like, they lied to him.
Yeah.
So you guys really loved his humor in this movie?
I
thought it worked. I just don't. I don't think I ever once like audibly laughed. Like I had a few chuckles, but I never like LOL'd to put it.
Yeah. It honestly felt like he was like that. The dumb humor for like 95% of his character, and I would have liked maybe like 70-30 where he's actually like confident.
I'm with you. I think they leaned on him more for the humor because they realized the movie lacked humor. Like I don't think reshoots, but like in the midst of doing them, they said let's do a couple takes of like more humorous takes.
Like
the humor that got me, which wasn't even meant to be humorous, was Yelena. Is that her name?
Yeah.
Yeah, as when she was like, this is a dumb way to die, or this would be a cool way to die, and then at the end, she's like, this is a cool way to die. I'm like, fuck yeah, and I was laughing about it, like, yeah, let's go.
I feel like, outside of that prologue, he really was just kind of like a washed up guy that was trying to keep making jokes, and I would have loved if towards the end in the middle, he was kind of more like he was in that middle scene, or in that beginning scene, which they kind of had him do because he was the one who fought Taskmaster. but it still just came off as like he got lucky rather than anything.
Yeah. Leon, what's up?
I love all of it because that's all the joke. Is that he sucks. He sucks. He's awful. And he is just this oaf trying to relive the glory days. And I think what was really good in the writing, David Harbour, just as an actor, set up so many great serves to then get smacked down by other characters. The biggest one being them actively making fun of Joss Whedon's adding in that fucking weird ass hysterectomy monster shit in Avengers Age of Ultron. Having him set up that serve and be fucking gross and be like, oh, it's your time of the month, and Yelena rip it apart by getting super critical. I really like that they gave him that role of, you're gonna set up these jokes that the women around you can slam down. And I like the dynamic.
And him being a person who's gonna be like sexist and like use that as a way to just automatically assume all girls are men. It makes sense for his character, not from the sense of like, oh, this is a fucked up line. Like it makes so much sense coming out of him.
Yeah, there was like a whole, I hope this isn't too heavy, but there was a whole like abused women, battered women undertone to it that they used Alexei and the guy who runs the Red Room, whose name I don't remember.
Dreykov.
Thank you. I called him Draken, I swear to God, for like 2 hours last night.
Lord
I could
Draken
not
from the
remember
Power
his name.
Rangers?
Oh, I was going Kim Possible,
Yeah,
but
Kim Possible.
Deep cut.
I'm with you, Al. I'm with you on that one.
I'm still deep cut. I don't even care.
I froze. Oh no, wait.
You're not frozen.
Good for me.
Okay, we're back. Fantastic. Sometimes you guys go away for like 5 seconds and I get scared. But I loved it that they set them up to be like the butts of the joke, like not in a shitty way, but like, I don't know, in like a really interesting way for me, that it had this really cool undertone about overcoming your abuser and like all this stuff. I was just very into it. I loved him.
The dynamic did serve as a good way to like serve that commentary to the audience. That I agree with.
Yeah, I saw the allegory in that and I enjoyed it. But the one thing that, because the way my mind works, being like as into Marvel as I am, I was just like, so why did the Red Room go this fucking far and become this fucking big, and the Winter Soldier program just kind of came and went when they were supposed to be kind of in tangent with each other? That was just the one thing that I was like, that would be cool to like explain why this took off, but whatever. Like I don't need that answer. My mind just goes there.
Yeah,
they weren't really in tangent with each other. They got inspiration from each other, but they weren't like directly working together.
Like whatever the mom's name was, she said in there that they had the Winter Soldier program already, but when they were in Ohio, they were doing work to find out how to really unlock and how to control the brain.
Yeah, and I think with the Winter Soldier thing, that's just harder to replicate than just training normal humans. So that's probably why there's more Black Widows than Winter Soldiers, I guess.
Yeah, because the Winter Soldiers depend a lot on the Super Soldier Serum.
Yes.
And like, they've never come right out and said it, but it's been applied a couple of times that what's true in the comics for Marvel is also true in the MCU, where like something about the X chromosome makes it that they don't adapt to like serums or gamma radiation in quite the same way. And so I didn't know if they were like that, if that played into the Winter Soldier too. Plus, didn't Zola come in and like shoot them all in the face or some shit like that?
Zemo killed the 5 remaining ones in Siberia. That I remember. But in the comics, I'm pretty sure that the 2 programs are very like adjacent to each other, and like they even train together.
Yeah.
So I just kind of was like, all right, so they were both government programs, and this guy just fucking took it and went with it, which is fine. It's cool. But again, my mind goes to places like that. But the allegory, to get to the bottom of the point, was really good. And I really like the way they did it, because they didn't, I don't want to say beat you over the head with it, because that sounds bad if they did. But what I mean is they did it in a way that went with the tone of the movie.
Sure. Yeah, no, I'm with you.
This movie's so fascinating to think about in terms of like what Leon brought up with like the kind of themes that they brought up in this movie. Like it's, and also like the genre where it's kind of a spy movie. Like we really don't even see like any super soldiers like or any super stuff really. I mean, you see David Harbour
Red
jump
Guardian,
really
yeah.
high one time and he lifts that thing one time, but other than that, like you don't really see that.
When he
Mhm.
broke that guy's wrist.
Oh, dude, that was
Oh, yeah.
nasty. Man.
I
That was
liked those moments. I liked the way they did those moments. Like I liked
yeah.
how if you watch when he flips over that trailer or whatever the heck that thing was, it doesn't
Mhm.
bounce. Like it just lands, which shows how heavy that freaking thing is. Because if it
Yeah.
was a little lighter, it would bounce. So it just shows how strong he is. I mean, super soldier serum, like we understand that, but I don't know. I liked the way it was just subtly dropped in there. I could have done without the wrist scene, to be honest with you. I don't think that did much at all, but that's just me.
Now, speaking of one of the villains, or about the villains and like the powers, Taskmaster. I
I loved it.
thought, and I would say I loved how they did it and or portrayed Taskmaster in this movie, and I will always love how they portray Taskmaster because it's the orange and blue colors. I need that sweatshirt. I need that hoodie.
Sure, sure. Yeah, I liked how they subtly introduced the character. I do think if you don't understand who Taskmaster is, that would be very confusing.
Very true.
Mhm.
But because I know who Taskmaster is, it really worked for me. But if
Mhm.
I was watching it with the lens because I had to explain who that was to my girlfriend, and she was just kind of like, uh-huh. And I'm like, yeah, it's a little convoluted, I understand. But the way they subtly had like Cap's shield, like the way
Or
she throws
the
the shield
the bow.
in this in the bow. And see when that moment actually happened, I didn't take that as Taskmaster at first. I thought, oh, Hawkeye was here. Like, okay, and like I don't know why he was here, but he was here. And then later on I was like, oh, okay, I guess that wasn't Hawkeye. But then
Mm.
there's like the Spider-Man swinging too from
Yeah.
when she fires that thing at him and it hoists him up to the ceiling of that bridge or whatever, and he cuts it and
Mhm.
swings. Yeah, I like the subtle moments of that kind of stuff was really good. There's a moment where
The
they
Black Panther
she
claws.
does what?
The Black Panther claws.
Yep,
Yeah.
that was really cool too.
Which
There's also a
quick
moment where
quick-
she does. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say when they're falling and like they do that behind the back view where she has her hands out. I'm like, she's gonna do like the Black Panther claws, and then she's gonna come down fighting with them, and they didn't, and I was disappointed because
Yeah.
it's like they had that perfect view of the hand. It's like extend the
Sure.
claw, cut the parachute.
It got cut. It got cut. It got cut
Yeah.
from the
Cut.
film. And there's a scene where she does like the Winter Soldier like a knife drop
The
thing,
knife
like hand to
flip.
hand knife
Yes.
flip thing, and I was like, that is super cool. I really like that. Like it worked for me in every possible way. Even the reveal of it being her or his daughter, which I was like, they were hinting at that the whole time. They even had the same musical beat, like when Taskmaster first shows up on the bridge, and when the younger version of her, I can't remember her name, walks out of the car to go into the building that explodes. They had the exact same musical beat,
I didn't
just
notice
altered a little
that.
bit.
I
Yeah,
didn't notice that.
even the same camera angle on her feet and everything. It was like this. They're the same person. But yeah, it worked for me 110%. But I do have to say that in the lens of me being a nerd, it's different than everyday viewer.
Very true.
So.
I also loved that they were like, what if I just took a scene from Steven Spielberg's Munich and made it sadder? That entire scene of the daughter is like borderline at points shot for shot from the scene from Munich, which was really, really cool. But I also was like, this is just sad. Like, this is just me. And like, I wish she wasn't upset about it. Like, let her be not, I don't know. Like, I just wish Marvel characters could have. The only reason I didn't like her being Taskmaster is I wish that Black Widow didn't have everything wrapped up in this neat little bow, that she got resolution on absolutely everything and the
Yeah.
collateral damage that she
Mhm.
constantly thinks about. Like, she finds out that she's still alive and she can save her. I'm like, let her have regrets. It's fine. We don't need to wrap everything up in a bow. It's
Mhm.
okay. It's cool if someone dies hating you.
I
Like,
agree with you, but I don't think it was wrapped up in a nice bow. I didn't get the implication at all that she was forgiven, at all.
But she can forgive herself now because
yeah.
I guess.
I don't mind the change they did to Taskmaster as like who's behind the mask in their origin story, but I felt like one very underutilized, especially because we thought that Taskmaster was going to be the main villain of the whole movie,
Mhm.
and two, the making Taskmaster Dreykov's daughter kind of just felt like they went, how do we make it so one of our biggest heroes didn't kill a child?
Like,
And it's
that's
just like
what it was. It was literally just, how do we make it that Black Widow didn't murder a child?
Yeah.
I think it
And
doesn't
so
matter though.
even if Taskmaster doesn't forgive Natasha now, Natasha can still rest easy being like, I didn't kill a kid. She's barely alive, but she's alive.
Shit, sorry.
She's
Sorry.
alive.
Just not
She
going over my
really doesn't
microphone.
like it, guys. She didn't like it at all. She just flipped your drink.
No, it's fine. I don't hate it. It's just I wish they could have gone in a different direction.
That's like the epitome of this movie for me. Like, I'm like, it's fine. It's good. I just wish they did a few things a little differently.
I love Yelena so much. And I
Yes.
want her, she owns the MCU now. Like,
Yep.
right from the get-go, like when we see her going after that older widow that has the like serum, and her doing this like Arya Stark knife drop to stab her, like all fantastic. And like I don't know. I loved her because I related to her on a really weird level of like she's constantly talking to herself and just like being a sarcastic shit about everything going on around her. And then when she gets so excited about her vest and Nat won't just say, I like the vest, I was like, this is written by somebody who is a younger sibling. Because I've been there when you're so excited to show your older sibling something and they're like, I don't care. It's like, but it's cool for me, okay? Like, just give this to me.
Another
And
thing about the family dynamics, like, I just want to stress that the family dynamic was literally my favorite part of the film. It was my exact favorite part of the entire movie was the family
Her
dynamic.
whole meltdown about it being real for her is like my favorite thing on the planet.
Mhm.
And I love, okay, I think they played out the scene between her and
Melina?
No, the dad, the fake dad.
Lexi.
Thank you.
Alexi.
Where he's trying to console her, but again, he sucks at everything.
I
Like-
really thought the ice fishing story was going to go somewhere and add depth to his character. Nope. His dad pissed on his...
You know, fathers. I was like, yes. I think the way they did that was so perfect. Where it's like he does care, he just sucks at everything he does,
Yep.
and he doesn't know how to convey these emotions, and he's just trying.
I'll say this. As someone with parents not from this country, it gave off a very similar vibe. Where, I mean, usually the stories my parents tell are still somewhat tangentially related, but in your head, you're like, how? How is this like it? But them then going full circle and having him just sit down and sing American Pie to her to show that, like, he remembers it. He remembers how much it likes her. He does cheer it up. I felt like almost made up for the moment that the story actually wasn't comforting because it shows that somewhere in there he does feel for her and cares for her.
That's what I was getting at. Yeah, he genuinely does care. Like he just sucks. he can't say it.
Yeah, he just can't talk about it. However, I want to chat with whoever went, David Harbour should look like human Shrek in this beginning part with no beard. He looks like human Shrek.
It was
and
the
I
hair.
can't stand it. I know it's the hair, and I know that they were in a shitty spot because they didn't want him to look the way he's going to look in Stranger Things, because it would have just been David Harbour in a Russian prison in the snow for 2020 and 2021.
Or in the 80s in America.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that about Stranger Things, that he's in a Russian prison, but someone was like, yeah, he's in the same spot.
Yeah, our other friend is obsessed with Stranger Things, and apparently he was sending...
So am I.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Why
But in
do
my
I
heart,
get
in my
raped?
head, she's the one that's like a Stranger Things stan.
Yeah, I'm not a stan. But...
She was saying that how, like, he was sending pictures of his costume to the guys who write Stranger Things to be like, you can't make me look like this in the Russian prison, and the Russian prison can't look like this, because he doesn't want them to get, like, mixed up.
Yeah, so we only have one teaser trailer for season 4 of Stranger Things, and it revealed to us that his character is still alive. And this was like a year ago, so this isn't really spoilers. But his face and head are completely shaven. So that he looked very different than Alexi in both like settings.
I've never watched Stranger Things, so
it's a great show. I highly recommend. But
I tried. Can do it.
I get it. I get that though. But yeah, I just didn't like that he looked like human Shrek. Like,
Okay.
it just he got done really dirty with this floppy human Shrek hairstyle. He's got a head like you. It was very upsetting to me. And that entire scene was so cool. Him on the wing of the plane. It was very like James Bond. Like, like it was dope. And fucking Go ahead.
I was
I'm
saying
talking too much. Go ahead.
another movie that I've heard, or franchise, I should say, that this movie was compared to was Mission Impossible.
Mhm.
Yeah, I could see it.
Hints of it everywhere,
Mhm.
and I don't know. I feel like that kind of hurt it a little bit in my mind because they wanted to be that but grounded, and I was like, it felt in that sense of tone where like the
Mhm.
stakes and how spy-ish it is, it felt a little off to me. It felt like they were trying to be Mission Impossible but subtle, and then there were moments where they weren't subtle. I don't know. It is tonally, like, themes, they nailed it, but tonally overall as like the emotions they're trying to convey and like the backdrops and how serious everything is, that didn't work for me. I don't know why, but it felt a little off to me.
The prologue and the opening credits made me feel very like those hit a dark spot. The second they went
Yeah.
into
They were
Cuba
so
and they're ripping the
good,
girl, they were so good. But
They were so
the second
good.
they land in Cuba and the girls start getting torn away, and you then see the opening credits, I was just like, I'm so
The cover
uncomfortable
to
with this.
Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Yeah, a
Again,
really cool
it was
cover.
shot
of Smells Like Teen
fantastically.
Really cool, yeah.
I'm not saying it was a bad choice.
The
I'm just
longest
saying-
opening credits
Yeah.
ever. It was
Um,
so long.
Really, I have a point I want to go to with this opening thing, but I have to say two things first. Little Yelena is played by one of the little kids from Haunting of Hill House, and I was like, I want to see you in everything. Can we get a show about little Yelena so that I can keep watching you? And the girl playing younger Natasha is Mila Djokovic's daughter, and holy fuck, she looks just like her mother.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I saw on the Marvel Studios subreddit that somebody who was like a fluent Russian speaker said that's why her Russian accent was so good, because she is Russian, whereas like
Yeah.
the others weren't that great.
I thought Florence Pugh was really good, and
I
like
think she
I'm
meant
not
more in the
concerned.
opening scene speaking
Okay.
actual Russian.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because Florence Pugh is the only one I'm not concerned about them introducing an accent and her not being able to do it consistently. Is because she can do like a fuck ton of accents consistently. But anyways, the prologue was so fucking cool, and like I think my favorite part about this movie truly is the story of the Red Room. Not like trying to liberate them or anything, but the fact that they literally are taking these missing girls in shipping containers to Russia or around Russia to train them as assassins, and his reasoning of being that there will always be more women that he can exploit and take in. I was like
Yeah.
they
That's
handled
messed
it
up.
really well without
And
it
he didn't
feeling
even
it
say
was
children.
so fucked up. No, just
said
He
girls.
said
women.
he said girls, yeah.
He said
Yeah.
girl. He said like the world's most, I don't remember, something resource, and and it was girls.
Overly abundant or something like
Yeah.
Something
that.
like that, yeah.
Piece of
Well,
shit.
because I thought it was a very cool way to play into the fact that across the globe there is a huge issue with women at a disproportionate rate end up on the streets being sold. You know, the Philippines and even like the Pacific Northwest and Canada, like with the indigenous peoples, like it's such a prevalent thing that like girls do just go missing from the street or their parents sell them, and like it just is. And I think they handled it in a way that didn't come off, they could have come off so preachy with it, and I think they didn't, and they made some really good statements on feminism and pop culture and just women around the world without coming off too much like we're feminists, you know. Not that that's a bad thing.
How did you guys feel about the fact that because of the Black Widows, he literally could control, like you said, he could control the stock market, he could control the wars, he could control the governments? Because I feel like Hydra said the same thing, like in Winter Soldier, which at this point is 2 years ago, 3 years ago in the timeline. So I'm like, which one is it? Who's actually got the power here?
I mean,
Him.
yeah, Hydra's gone at this point, pretty much.
Yeah. And
'Cause-
he pulled the Black Widows from Hydra. Like, it's him.
That and the fact that he has them literally under mind control. Like he can literally like she did with the pigs. Just swipe a bar down to 0, you can't breathe. You're dead. Boom.
Can we talk about the if you smell my pheromones, you can't attack me thing?
Pheromone lock.
That was
That's
really stupid.
Some
I thought it was-
straight
I
up
didn't like that.
PC shit that I'm like, you know what? Whatever.
I thought
Mhm.
the acting and like the cinematography of her like trying to stab looked really cool.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I thought
It was acted well. I just think as a
Yeah.
premise, it fell short for me.
I really thought that there was going to be like some sort of technology behind it because of the way that her body would just freeze up.
being a psychology-ish person, I went to school for psychology. I thought it was gonna be like she was conditioned not to, and she didn't know, and that was still innate in her brain, where she couldn't. Because they
Yeah.
talk about that in the movie. They talk about
Oh, yeah.
conditioning, and I'm like, oh, okay, they're leading into that. And then
Yeah.
it's like, nope, you smell my pheromones. So I'm like, well, that's stupid. You literally set it up to be whatever.
Well, it's
They
because
talked about the difference.
I was just
Go
gonna
ahead.
mention that
Yeah.
because the difference between when Natasha was going through the widow program as opposed to what it is now, it was conditioning and all that. Whereas now it's literally just you're just under mind control.
Yeah, I know, which would have supported what I'm saying more, right? Because if she would have been conditioned,
True. Yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also, I feel like
We
only
have a
thing you need to
decent
get.
character that can get men to sleep with her through her pheromones, and so I just don't. Yeah, it's like some comic bullshit that like I don't love, but like I'm not surprised.
Mhm.
Like,
Sure.
cool. That'd be some shit that's in a comic. I'm not gonna fight with you.
Yeah.
You know, whatever.
Yeah. I thought
It
it was
also
just.
seemed like go on.
I just thought it was funny. Is like, is the safety on? Takes the gun from her.
Yeah. It's also kind of even though it's like dumb when you say it out loud, like the pheromones prevent her from attacking him. When you go into like, well, the movie explained that they can control literally every chemical inside the brain. I was like, I guess it makes sense within the logic of the movie. It's just dumb when you say it out loud.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's really easy to bypass. You just get a fucking sniper rifle because then you can't smell him from that far away.
I agree that it made sense for the movie. I just think they set up a perfectly better option in the movie that could have been utilized, and they didn't do it.
It's because if they got into conditioning, they were gonna have to explain how the fuck they were overriding the basal your id, basically, the little nut at the bottom of your brain that like keeps your blood pumping and you breathing. And like that's some science I don't think they wanted anyone questioning.
Well,
Is it just be like
the conditioning
very
wouldn't have
separate?
involved the breathing thing, because like Abba brought up earlier, it was later that like stopping breathing thing kind of came into fruition. So in my mind, the conditioning for like not attacking him would have been like number one on the board. So like that would have been in your mind longer, had more mind share. It would have been like harder to break that sever that nerve. For
I was gonna
terms of a
say,
better word.
do you only not like the pheromone thing because you had to see her break her nose?
No. Even before then, I was like, "This is dumb." I don't know, because literally going into that scene, I was like, "Oh, okay, conditioning. Like, I get it." And then they didn't do it, and it made me feel confused. I was like, "Why would you? I don't understand why you're utilizing something else." But maybe that's just me.
Yeah, and going into that last sequence, you have the the red room blowing up, you have that sky falling from the sky fight, and you get Taskmaster down and beaten. The Taskmaster technology is just sitting there, so there could be a second Taskmaster sometime in the MCU.
That's why I was never upset with the iteration compared to the comics version of like we're literally getting Shang-Chi in September, and they're gonna do the Mandarin correctly this time. So they could, at any point in the future of the MCU, bring back Tony Masters and like really have like the comics version of Taskmaster if they wanted to, right? Like it'd be so easy.
I have a
Was
theory
it-
about Abomination in that trailer now. While watching these movies, Abomination is going to be a member of the Thunderbolts or whatever they're building.
Yeah,
That's why
that's-
Abomination is there.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I thought they were gonna go
Um,
for Red Hulk over Abomination.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fucking Christ, my brain. Shit. Gone.
All right, while
Completely
you
gone.
catch that train, I do want to pivot to Ross a tiny bit because I
Yeah.
felt like it was
Wait,
so
I
weird.
remembered. Wait, I'm so sorry. I remembered. I don't know what. Okay, my only issue with that final fight sequence, and this is so nitpicky, and I'm aware it's nitpicky. The fucking Foley sounds were so loud. And it was specific ones. It was her hitting her head, her boots hitting the tile, and then when all the Black Widows started, the one of them held her, and the rest started punching her.
Yep.
Those types of noises were louder than everything else going on, and like it was just very jarring. And I was like, I get that you're doing this for like emphasis on the punch, but like I'm already overwhelmed that she's surrounded by assassins who are beating the shit out of her. You don't have to add in this sound emphasis.
Yeah.
That was probably my favorite choreographed fight outside of Taskmaster fights. Was that
Great.
final fight with all the widows?
that was the other last thing I was going to say. I'm so sorry, Jordan. Is with Taskmaster. I feel like the other thing is too. I could be wrong because I haven't read a comic with Taskmaster in probably 5 or 6 years. But Taskmaster and U.S. Agent are relatively similar, aren't they? Or am I confusing that?
They do both some work for the Thunderbolts at a point, I think.
Is that the only? Is that the dumb association my brain is making?
Maybe.
I know.
I feel like I
Taskmaster-
remember him being like the same, like kind of like purge kind of guy of I'm gonna ruin civilization, but I might be misremembering that.
I feel like they've changed him up a few times because, like, when I was reading up on him, it's like the more he'll study, because at one point it was he had to fight someone. At other points he just had to watch.
Mhm.
And then there's some times where they'll do it where, like, the more he remembers of other people's fights, the more of his own personal information he'll forget. So he will literally forget who he is.
Mhm.
So I think it's kind of like the only thing I could see that related to U.S. Agent is just that, like, they go berserk along the way.
I might be confusing characters too. That is fully possible. I wasn't sure, and that's why I wanted to like bring it
No,
up
you're
or
good.
ask.
The best thing about Taskmaster is the one person he can't mimic is Deadpool. And
Yeah.
I love that so much because Deadpool is just too hectic and frantic that he can't copy anything.
I'm also just excited we're going to see more mimics because we're getting a mimic in Hawkeye too because we're getting Echo.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, I'm actually really impressed with Marvel. They're doing Echo and they actually cast a deaf indigenous person to play her.
That's
Oh,
right.
that's
Okay.
cool.
Yeah.
I did
yeah, I
hear that.
remember that,
I did
yeah.
hear that. Yeah. So going back to like falling from the sky, did anyone think it was odd about how there was just a parachute right there? There was just a parachute. when
Just-
she jumped off.
yeah.
It was just kind of
That-
Action movie convenience.
That's one of the
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just
movie
plot
thing.
convenience. You take
It
it for
would-
what it is.
It would be
in my
that
mind,
other
it would have been
ship.
better if Florence Pugh, however you pronounce her name,
Florence Pugh, yep.
just had it on when she put the thing into the helicopter, and then
Well, she was
she was like,
sacrificing herself there.
sure, but hold on. So when she does that, she's knocked out, so she's falling. ScarJo notices that, leaps to her to pull the chute, then realizes what's his face, Taskmaster's coming, jumps off. Like I feel like that
Right.
would have made more sense. But I keep saying, hey, you could have done this instead. And I don't make movies, so whatever.
I want to
that
talk
would-
about
that
that
would-
scene real quickly.
I'm just real quick. I'm just in that point. It's like if she's gonna blow up the plane, plan to be unconscious, and then it just seems like
Yeah.
that. Just
I'm
people would
not
have
saying
a problem
I'm not
either
saying-
way.
I never once said she planned to be unconscious. I'm saying Florence Pugh would put on the parachute, put the stick into the helicopter, assume she was going to jump off or the explosion would throw her off, then she would pull the chute.
Okay.
Yeah, but that
I worded
explosion
that
would
wrong.
100% knock her out.
I worded that wrong. I should have said if you're getting an explosion, like if MythBusters has taught me anything, having an explosion
ScarJo
happen that
falls from
close.
ScarJo does like a 100-foot fall, lands on her feet, and she's like,
This
all right,
movie
let's
is
go.
worse than
Yeah,
Fast and
but that's
Furious
what I
with their
mean.
falls.
Is there like
Okay, I don't think it's worse than
The
that.
car-
I'm
the
saying-
car
we said
wreck.
fuck it to the physics
Exactly.
in this?
You saw that
I don't
car
know.
fly down the subway? Like, come on. And they're just
Yeah.
fine, the little free bruises.
When
Like-
that happened, I was like, they're done, right? Like Taskmaster's gonna come rip them out, and someone's gonna come save them or something,
She
like another
blew-
widow or something.
She blew on Florence Pugh's arm, shut it with her fingers, and wrapped it up. Like, I don't know if any of you guys watch CinemaSins, but he has a bit in his videos where he goes, they survived this. And I just thought that like 80
Right.
times, but that also happens in every Captain America movie ever made. So like, I just don't give a shit anymore.
Mm.
Also, there were certain points where it's like they want to like fake out that she gets hurt or died. I'm like, guys, we already know when she dies. Like,
Yeah,
that is part of the
Mhm.
things that like there was no risk, at least for the main character in this movie, because you know where her story ends and how.
That's just
and we
prequels.
knew,
That's just prequels, though, in general.
Yeah.
Mhm.
and we knew that Yelena was going to survive because we've known that she's going to be in Hawkeye for.
I
Yeah,
completely
let's
forgot
talk about that
fact,
real quick.
So
Yeah.
Cause
that never ruined the experience for me, but it did take the stakes out of it a little bit. But it never like I don't know, it never made the stakes like boring, I guess.
I'm
Anyways,
surprised that no like important character died, like the either Alexi or the
Melina.
mom or anyone else like that. But yeah, let's talk about that post-credit scene for a quick second.
Sure.
Yeah.
Tangentially
I love
related.
all of
Tangentially
it.
related to somebody. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Jordan literally texted me after the movie and was like, I don't understand why she wants Yelena. I was like, so that she can put her with fucking what's his face, John Walker, and they can just be chaotic for a little while until one of them gets converted.
I get that she
Well, they
wants them
kill each
under her
other.
control. What I mean is, I want her actual, like, I want to know what her real end game is.
To
Like,
kill
why
the
does she-
Avengers and make her own that are under her
Avengers are
thumb.
gone. The Avengers are gone at this point.
Hawkeye is still alive. He is
Look, the
training someone. Captain
individuals-
America's fucking back. The Winter Soldier is here.
The individuals that
Don
make
Cheadle's
up
still fucking alive, but we still have superheroes that were with the Avengers, so they're gonna be the new Avengers. So she's gonna kill them all off and then make her own that are hers and take over America. I feel like this is very clear.
We know that as an audience, yes. I'm saying in universe.
Then what do you mean?
as-
You just said you want to know her end game. That is her end game's clear.
What I'm saying is, in universe, the Avengers as an entity no longer exists.
But that doesn't matter to her. That just makes it easier.
Why would the whatever the younger sister? Why would she join?
Yelena.
Like what's?
Oh,
Because
nobody was on
she's
that
already doing work
planet.
for her.
Well, yeah, I mean, she has no other skills.
Sure.
Your only skills are killing people. If you have somebody be like, hey, you can do good work, the same shit that she does to John Walker, even though I don't want to give John Walker any amount of credit, she manipulates John Walker and makes him her little bitch, and now she's going to try and manipulate Yelena. Yelena's going to go and try to kill Hawkeye. The Hawkeye's going to convert her, and we're going to have a new Black Widow and a female Hawkeye. Like, I feel like Marvel overplayed their hands a little bit here.
Yeah, that now we basically know the whole plot of Hawkeye, essentially.
Yeah, and like I feel because they released so much stuff, and I get that we went like a while without information because of COVID, but I would have rather not had as much information, and more things have been a surprise.
We also were. This was supposed to be our first introduction to Fontaine. Valentina.
I want to say something about that because the cut of this movie, they clearly changed it up after Falcon Winter Soldier because the cut of her in this movie
actually that is or I did listen to the first bit of the Kind of Funny, and they did say that it is fact that this movie has not changed from its original release. There's no edits, post delays.
Original release, maybe not, but wasn't there a scene in one of the trailers where Ross is just like standing in front of a bunch of cars looking at an explosion that just was not in this movie?
Those are trailers. They always do the trailers, though. They fake it out in trailers.
I'm saying because this movie was supposed to come first, and the fact that she doesn't really introduce herself at all or anything, she's like, "Hey, I have a mission for you." It's clearly because we already have seen her in.
No, I feel like that was
we
an
weren't
mystery.
Supposed to know. That was the point. Was we were supposed to be like, "Who the fuck is this chick?" And then Falcon and Winter Soldier was supposed to come out immediately after Black Widow.
Yeah,
or that was supposed to, because you have to remember, WandaVision wasn't supposed to release.
It was supposed
first.
to be Falcon.
It was supposed to be Black Widow, Falcon and Winter Soldier, WandaVision, Loki, but they finished WandaVision before Falcon Winter Soldier because WandaVision didn't have to film out of country. Falcon Winter Soldier did. And they got closed out of 2 of their locations.
Yeah. And even if you're familiar with the character of Valentina, there's nothing in that scene that gives you any hint as to who she is supposed to be, other than, I guess, her hair. But like, how many people have a stripe in their hair? Like a bunch. So you literally were not. That was supposed to be part of the mystery.
Yeah, I'm with Jordan and everyone else on this. Brett, I think you're just wrong on this one. I don't think that the cut was changed. I think it was a deliberate thing where you're like they're saying it was supposed to be like blend into the mystery a little bit.
Because I mean that's all MCU end credit scenes are. It's just a mystery. Just make you theorize.
I do understand the confusion with the release order. That I completely understand. Where it would be logical for them to go and do that, but I don't think they did that.
I hate that I now give a shit about John Walker, and I'm not saying that for the meme. I legitimately care about like where this story is going because I think it's interesting, and I really. Oh, I don't care if he lives or dies. That's fine. I don't care either way. I just care about his story, which I didn't before.
I mean, I care if he lives or dies, but I don't want him to live.
See, I don't give a shit. From Spider-Man or from SpongeBob.
I just, I like where they're going with it. I want to see Yelena interact with John because I feel like that's going to be fucking hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
She's going to fucking hate him.
I will
absolutely, and I love it.
I will say, because the MCU does their own thing with characters, I will say that if they somehow hold on, if they manage to successfully redeem John Walker somehow in the MCU, I swear to God, I will be genuinely upset.
Taking
If they
notes.
hook me in, write it down. I'll bet something. I don't know what it is, but if they manage to
Pizza bet.
redeem pizza bet. If they manage to redeem John Walker in the MCU to a state that I accept, and I will be totally honest, I'll be totally shocked. So I don't think they can do that.
I don't think John Walker will be completely redeemed. If I had to guess right now, I would say that John Walker is probably going to die and Yelena is going to get redeemed or like brought over, because the thing is, this is an easy manipulation because nobody was on that fucking planet with Hawkeye and Black Widow. You could go up to anybody wasn't there and be like, hey, go away.
Which also makes you wonder how she even knows he was there connected.
It's probably that thing of
theory
like
on that too.
it's probably that thing of like in Falcon Winter Soldier when they're at the museum, the Smithsonian, they had like that thing where it's like Steve Rogers and the Avengers made the final stand in New York, blah blah blah. So I'm sure like either
that they went out and told the story.
I feel like there had to have been a press release, yeah.
Either official government officials or like journalists are like, hey,
there was definitely a press release because the average person knows who Thanos is.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's weird for the Avengers to be like, also, there's this planet, right? And on this planet, there's nothing else but one of the stones. You have to sacrifice someone. We sent these two over, one of them came. Like, to get to that level of detail and to just like, have to explain that.
But you have to tell them at some point, like, that Black Widow has passed, and if you're just like, her and Hawkeye went to go do something, and she died in the line of duty, I guess.
Yeah, the only line you would get is that Black Widow died off planet or something.
Yeah,
like, that's it. That's all you would get.
Yeah,
like we mourn the loss of Black Widow, and then they move on.
Mm-hmm.
Government spiel.
I got excited that she got a dog though.
Yeah,
I'm glad she got her doggo. She got her dog.
Oh yeah, Fanny.
Yeah.
Before we end, which I think is coming up soon.
Yep.
Does anyone else think that ScarJo and what's the dude's name that like gives her the plane and like lets her live in that camper?
Oh, that he wants to fuck her. He absolutely
that was the whole
does.
point.
And I'm really I understand that that's the point, but can we have one fucking moment with Black Widow where we're not trying to put her? The character is fucking dead, for Christ's sakes. I am so mad that they include. I was furious.
Here's the thing. When it first started, I was like, "Come on, stop!" And then as the more scenes I got, I was like, "ScarJo's really good at this. Like, she is nailing this role, and I hate it. Like, I hate that she's so good at it."
The only reason I was able to accept it from this random dude was just like, he's kind of a shady person. He would be that type that just thinks he can nice guy his way into some pussy. Like, I don't know a nicer way to say that. I'm so sorry.
I don't think he was trying to nice guy. That's not my issue. She doesn't need a fucking romantic interest. It's not going to go anywhere.
I didn't take it as a romantic interest. I took it as like, oh, this is a dude who really wants to fuck her. And she's just like, go away.
No,
in the press release they said that they want to fuck. That they wanted that he wants to date her.
Oh, I took it as she knows that he wants to fuck her, and I don't even like using that sentence. Jordan, you've turned me.
No, but he doesn't. But he doesn't want to date her. At no point does he show a romantic interest in her.
Yes, can you give me 30 seconds to prove a point here? I gotta find his fucking name. He literally did an interview where he was talking about how on set he was a romantic interest, that he cares about her and wants to date her and wants to be with her. And that was my fucking issue, is that doesn't need to be there. I'm trying to find a quote.
I'm just saying, to me, it came off as just purely sexual from his end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm not saying that is good. I'm just saying I could accept it from a guy who's supposed to be kind of shady. And she's just like, go away.
I thought she was just utilizing that. She's like, oh, okay, you want to fuck? Well, I'm going to get everything I can out of you.
I'm gonna get a camper. I'm going to get a plane. I'm going to get a nicer plane.
Exactly. That's how I took it.
Yeah.
I was kind of shocked.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
He is the guy that Mason is a bit like Q from James Bond or Alfred from Batman. He's the guy that can hook up our hero with everything they need. The only difference is he really cares about her in a romantic way. There's a lot of flirting going on, and he wants to be clear that he wants to be in her life, which is curiously absent from Alfred and Q. And I was mad at this because I don't want her having a romantic interest because it doesn't fucking matter. And B, he may not flirt with Batman, but Alfred cares very deeply about him, and let's not pretend he doesn't, please.
And what's this? Well, flirting is not something you see with Alfred. Thank God.
Yeah,
That's
also, thank
basically his
God.
father. Jesus.
But-
They can say that all they want. I never once got the notion
I
that
did.
it was anything more than sexual.
Thank
oh,
you.
I
That was
did.
it.
I got that it was supposed to be romantic, and I was
Like-
annoyed
They can put words on a page all they want. They did not convey that at all.
when he was like,
really
you know,
sounded like
friends
he-
tell each other shit. I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Again, the way he was talking only felt like he wanted to smash.
No,
I'm with
he
you.
wanted
And
to
not in
date
the
her.
Hulk way.
As somebody who has had both types of nice guy try to either date me or get in my pants, I will say that he wanted to be with her, and I hated it.
She's the only female source we got, so we gotta take it as it is. So,
Yep.
Yes.
she's right. She's right.
All right. So,
Oh my gosh.
final thoughts. Anybody got it before we wrap up?
I'm so sorry I got so heated.
No, it's fine.
Hey.
I was saying
Is
before.
anything new?
but-
Is anything new? Well, solid 7. Solid 7.
Did anyone else expect Ross to be a bigger part of the movie?
No.
Is
Not
he
really.
okay? Like, is his actor
No.
okay? Like him in real life? Is he like?
He's just
He's old.
old.
He's like 70
Yeah.
something.
Is he
He's
just? Is
very
that it?
old.
Is he just old? That's it.
William Hurt is an old man, and like I feel
Yes.
like he's tired.
I don't know.
Honestly,
It is.
though, in
I got
So
the-
that's why they're like, let's just mention that he's had several heart attacks and
Yeah,
excuse
no,
that.
they said. Oh wait,
It's
is
his
that-
second
that's your
triple.
second bypass.
Second
Second triple bypass.
I was just saying, not even just a bypass, a second triple bypass. that's bad. My dad just
Yeah, I
had
feel
that
like
like
they
last
were-
year, and
They were
that's
compensating
bad.
for that.
Yeah. Well, I also feel like that was a backdoor way for them to be like, if we ever want to turn him into Red Hulk, this would be the line that gets him to do more experimental treatments.
To say that
there's been
William
rumors. Sorry. go ahead.
William Hurt looks better as Thaddeus Ross than he does in actual life. So like I think it's just he's old. That William Hurt is old, and that's
no.
why he looks decrepit. Well, because he's in real life, he's like completely. The wig they give him is really, really good. He looks good with the big mustache. Like it's a good look for him. In real life, he's this pale blonde, has like no hair. He's old. He's an old guy.
Yeah.
I don't want to see an old man Hulk.
That's not how
Would
that
he
works.
keep the mustache when he? Because I
In
don't
the
want
comics,
that.
yes. In the comics, he wears
Ew.
camo pants, an army hat, and he has the mustache and a cigar.
No, I don't want it anymore. I
Right?
don't want Red
I'm
Hulk
90%
anymore.
sure of this.
So
Ew,
basically,
I don't
Omni-Man,
want it
but
now.
in Hulk form.
I don't want it.
It reminds me of that character from Street Fighter. I just can't remember his freaking name.
Blanca.
No. No. There's like a buff like army.
Oh,
dude.
Zangief.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Uh,
sometimes he gets the mustache and sometimes he doesn't.
Hate it. Burn it.
Thank you for that vital information.
Quick question about
Yeah.
just the movie experience. Who saw this in theaters? Did we all see it in theaters?
I did, yeah.
I did not. I watched it on
Austin
my
was the
phone.
only one who watched it on Premier
Disney
Access.
Plus.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I saw it in theaters too.
And I have the most issues with it, so take that as you will.
This was the first movie I've seen since March of 2020 where I went as a meme to see the Sonic movie. So I can finally say I've seen something else in theaters.
Bro,
That movie was
movie's-
good. I
Yeah,
didn't
that's
care
a
what
good
anyone said.
movie, bro.
I'm
Yeah.
not saying it was
That
bad.
movie's
I'm just saying
great.
that is not what I wanted to go around for a year and a half being
Do
like,
not, do not let Jordan mislead you. He really, really likes the Sonic movie. And like so do I. I'm not shitting on him for it. But like we all greatly enjoyed seeing that movie.
You know what? I'll say it right now. Sonic movie is a better movie than Black Widow. Boom.
I wouldn't go that far, all right?
I
Like,
wouldn't say
let's
that,
come back
but-
from there.
Mm.
Because
I
here's
wouldn't
the
such
say
thing.
a weird
I
comparison.
saw
Is this our Clerks versus Lord of the Rings?
Well, here's the thing. I don't have a
Orcs
lot of
versus Lord of the Rings.
That's kind of funny.
I don't have a lot of hot
Yeah.
takes as far as Waypoint goes. So that'll be my hot take. The
That's-
Sonic movie is better. It's a better movie than Black Widow.
It's not. It's really not, but whatever.
They each
Fine,
do what they
everything's
want to do
fine.
successfully, but no.
We all have Josh loves John, or not Josh. Brett loves John Walker.
You do too now. You said we have it on
I
tape.
did
No,
not
no.
say I love John Walker.
She said she cares
No.
about his story. There's a
I
difference there.
care about
You
his
care-
storyline.
She cares
I mean-
about ... John Walker. That's what I.
They are an admitted bias to the cast. I have a bias to Sonic. I love Sonic too. Like
Yeah.
the Sonic games, I like them more than the average consumer.
I will openly
too.
admit that there are some movies I only like because of the cast, and like this might have been one that in my brain, it's like a 9 just because I love the cast.
I'm also a big Jim Carrey fan, so just rack him
See,
up.
I fucking can't stand Jim
I
Carrey.
mean,
I don't like him in real life. I like his work.
Okay, we're getting a
think
bit
he's
off
woke.
topic with Sonic here,
Oh,
so.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
well, real quickly, Aaron, like
Yeah.
think about like your comment about the cast. Like think about how poorly this movie could have gone, and
Yeah.
the fact that it's for most people here, it's competent, it's good. That's a huge win in a certain perspective.
Oh yeah.
For real.
On a like a technical thing, I really like Kate Shortland, the
Yeah.
director. I
Mhm.
like what we've seen. She worked on Falcon and Winter Soldier. I really like what we've
Mhm.
seen of her so far, and I really want to see her do future
Yeah.
projects like
But-
with Marvel and with other people. I feel like it's very interesting.
One
I
of the
will also
writers-
say,
We
go ahead, Brett.
One of the writers from like Loki or something wrote this movie too, right? So it's
Yeah.
all kind of like into
Yeah.
it's all from
And-
that same kind of group.
and the costumes look great, like the white
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
the like generic Black Widow suits that all the other people had were awesome. Like Red Guardian suit looked cool too. It looked very like Cap suit in First Avenger, like that very like real
Mhm.
feeling and not like the tactical gear from the later movies. So I like the costume aspect too, for sure.
And being so happy that it still fits.
Him
Barely.
getting it on reminded me of that scene in Friends when Ross is trying to put the leather, pants back on. I was like, oh god.
I also think one of the other reasons why I'm like I said, I very much enjoy the movie, but I'm not like this is so is because outside of the post-credit scene, none of it did anything else for the future of the MCU going on. And after going a year without anything in the MCU, in the past few months, we've just been getting stuff that implies so much. It is a little bit. I'm not saying that it should have. It had no reason to.
Yeah.
I mean,
But it's a bit jarring.
That's an expectation thing, though. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not saying you
Even-
expected otherwise, but it's true. It
Even
depends
if
on
I
your
don't
expectation.
tell myself that it's going to, somewhere in my head, it's an
See-
expectation.
But I think that there's a reason that these weren't supposed to release like this. Sorry, Alba.
Oh
Yeah.
no, 100%. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, like, my friend and I, after we were sitting in the theater waiting for the post-credit scene, and we kind of come up with something that might be an interesting idea for like a series. Is like, you know how they showed that screen of like hundreds, if not thousands, of widows everywhere. There
Mhm.
could be a series of Yelena going after and like freeing all like a villain of the week kind of thing, like going
Yeah.
and freeing a widow.
I agreed that that opportunity is on the table. I don't think they sold home that idea at all in this movie. Like I didn't care about.
I mean, if they didn't, I
mean,
would have thought of that idea of the series.
getting them
Just
free
saying.
was one thing I cared about. I didn't care about any of the widows at all. They didn't make me care about them besides Black Widow and
Fair point. Yeah.
Which I'm not gonna say is the movie's fault. How do you get someone to care about, let's just say, 1 billion people? Like,
Sure. I'm just saying that there wasn't even the attempt, so I don't think that would be a thing. Is what I'm saying.
I feel like Aaron has something to say about that.
And
You're not.
I
coming
mean
through.
this in the I do not mean this in the way that it's going to come out, and I want to preface this with I do not mean that anyone is being sexist or misogynistic. I truly think that I have a bias to this movie because there were things that hit home with me just about being like a woman in the world that like I was like, yeah, like this fucking sucks. And so I saw that and I was like, yeah, like this is a thing that just like women know we're constantly in danger of just having our lives taken away from us and like having nothing. And so for me it really hit home because I was like, this, yeah, like that's a fear that like I was raised with was somebody may just take you one day just because they can. And
No,
like
and I
you
get
have to
that.
be alert to that.
Yeah, and I know
And
you
then-
didn't mean. I know what
I
you're
do
saying.
not
That,
mean it. Yes.
yeah, we
I'm
would just
saying
never
that
relate
for-
to it the same way.
Yes, what I am trying to say is that I have a bias that I feel like I relate to that, not necessarily because it is good writing, but because I'm assigning my own emotional
Yeah.
response to
Yeah.
it.
No, and that makes sense. I just
That's
more
what
meant
I
like
wanted to be very clear.
Yeah,
I was
no.
not calling anybody anything.
Yeah.
Very
I more
valid.
meant it as like obviously like this issue both in the MCU and in the real world. Like it's sad to think about, but I can't like you can't suddenly make that your biggest concern when it's just something that's so much bigger and it's not personal in a way. But like that would be a cool show to be like, or at least just somehow tell us what's happening to all those people.
That's
Just-
gonna be
They would just have to establish making me care about them. Is what I'm saying. That was the
Yeah.
only point I was making.
Well, because and also in the real world factor of like, I don't think they're gonna assign Florence Pugh to TV shows only. Like, she's gonna be in the next Avengers movie
Right,
or something
yeah.
like that. Like, she's too big of an actress to do that.
I also wouldn't be surprised if we got a Black Widow 2, but in the way we're getting a Captain America 4.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, like, I was surprised, and maybe it's just I left right after the end credit scene and I didn't see it, but I was surprised that we didn't get like a Yelena Belova will be returning. I hate that they did that, but I was surprised we didn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just because I wouldn't be surprised if we got another
to
movie.
be fair, I didn't even know that she was going to be in Hawkeye, so I mean, it makes sense after the end credit scene, but
Yeah.
I think for that, Liren, it's the focus of the movie was to celebrate and honor Natasha and Scarlet, so they didn't want to be like, here's her grave, and she's
getting replaced. Yeah.
Yeah.
right.
At least
And
not here.
And I think that a lot of the things that I find wrong with this movie are places where it fell short because it was a studio trying to right a wrong that had been going on for however many years. And that when you're starting from a studio, from a production standpoint, you're starting with this is almost an apology. You're going to slip up in places.
Yeah, I was telling Albob in our watch party that, like, I think Josh said it was like 5 years too late. And I'm like, yeah, but you got to think, like, they started writing this movie in like 2017, 2018. And when it should have been written in 2014, 2013, whatever, like, that other dude was still in charge of some of the Marvel production, and he just didn't want to do a solo female movie. And so
none of them thought Solo. Literally, Hollywood did not think a solo superhero movie would sell until one broke records.
Yeah,
like you know,
I
it's just
wonder how different we'd all feel about the movie if it did come out in, like, let's just say 2017 or even earlier if they didn't do the post Civil War thing, but where it's like our expectations for what Marvel could accomplish were a little bit more toned down in like a pre-Infinity War Endgame world.
Yeah, I mean, it's why I'm excited. I like this movie, but I'm excited to see where Marvel goes further with that aspect of it. I think we have some really good casts set up. We have some really good replacements for holes left in Endgame that I really like. I mean, I was saying, yeah, I'm super excited for Shang-Chi. That's going to be great.
September,
Eternals is a huge cast. Yeah, I'm amped. You know, Eternal. We now have her.
Too.
What if? I'm so
I'm
excited
so happy for What If. Oh my God.
I've been telling people since we got that announcement of that series. That is one of my most anticipated series. So seeing that trailer from this past week was awesome. So.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And on that note, we will see you guys at the next Waypoint. Thank you so much for
watching.
Who's a scroll?
Fontaine, Valentina.
I want to say too.
That was a thing in the comics.
I want to say too, because we're not stopping, right?
We're still recording,
Yeah. It just felt so good to see a Marvel movie in theaters after 2 years.
Yeah. When that theme hit, oh my gosh!
Like, I know I've been getting it every week from my television, but on a big screen, I was like, oh,
I wish I could have experienced the logo, but people had to be dickheads.
This movie was such a success, not only in terms of finally celebrating Black Widow and Natasha, but like also the Marvel movies coming back to theater. So it was a success on those two fronts alone, let alone the actual movie was pretty dang good. So it was just a great time.
Yeah, like the fact that we all at least enjoyed it enough to be like a 7 or higher, like that's a success.
Yeah.
I don't really, I mean, that was getting long in the tooth, so I didn't want to add this in there, but I don't think the point of this movie was to celebrate Natasha at all. And that's something I have a gripe with the film. I think the point of this movie is to have a send-off of the role of Black Widow, but it wasn't really in memory of Natasha at all. I think it was just to bring light to Yelena.
Well, not the movie story itself, but the fact that they're actually doing one at all, and the fact that all the fans know that she deserved one for so long. And
that I agree with.
Yeah.
And on that note, we'll for real this time see you at the next Waypoint.
I thought we were done.
Bye.